Hey everybody, welcome to the Mountain Gamer, and welcome to how I now play Eldritch Horror. Let's just jump right into it with setup. You've got these little handy dandy cards here that'll tell you exactly what to do, but I'll put them up on screen as I talk. So right now I've set up a game for 3 investigators. They're here on the side. You'll set up basically the same as what you're supposed to, for the most part. One of the changes is on this reference card here, you see it says 4. So if you're playing with 3, just bring it up to 4. You're playing with 4, bring it up to 5. So just, bump it up by 1. That's one of the things. And then keeping that in mind, well, I set up the board according to this. So I did spawn 1 gate with a monster, and I did spawn 2 random clues somewhere. My people are already on the board. Now, if you follow the reference sheet here, the next thing is the Mythos deck. Now, some of you will switch off right now because this is how you're going to set up the Mythos deck. Now, tonight, I'm playing against Azathoth. And Azathoth, here, if you look at his chart here, you will actually do this, right? But it doesn't matter which cards you take. Say what? Yeah. You will build this, but you will not care if they are hard or not or whatever, okay? Because we're not going to be using this text at all. I know, but we're not, okay? So just bear with me. So let's say I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these green cards. So just go through your Mythos deck and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, I've got my 5 green. Then my yellows, I need 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 4 is 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, cool. And then for the blue ones, because I will not be using rumors, but I do need at least 1 of those in the deck. You could put 2, it'll make the game easier, but I'm just going to use 1. So you just use 1. And I think all of these old ones do mention at least 1 blue card, right? So take just 1 and put it either in the last stage, if it says so, or in the second stage, if it says so. So that's what I'm going to do. So if I'm building this thing, stage 1 is going to be 1 green and then 2 yellow. So that's stage 1. Stage 2 is going to be 2 green and 3 yellow. That's my stage 2. And then my stage 3 is 2 of these greens, 4 of these yellows, and then I'll just take 1 of the blue ones here. I'll put it in the second stage just because. Yeah, actually this was going to go in the second stage, not in the third one. So this is my third stage over here. And then you'll just, shuffle this stuff up. So this is my third stage, my second stage, blah, 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 and my first stage. And there you go, that's your Mythos deck. So I'll put that off to the side somewhere. Okay, that's it. Next, if you follow the card here, you will be adding some clues to the track up here. Now, you don't have to do this. This just makes the game a little bit easier because I always find that we don't have enough clues on the board. So that's why I came up with this thing. So what you'll do is you will put 1 starting at the number 3 spot and then going up by 3 until you reach here, right? So 3 and then 1, 2, 3 on 6, 1, 2, 3 on 9, 1, 2, 3 on 12, and then 1, 2, 3. Well, you can't because this is here, right? So that's that. And now anytime this thing moves over, well, you'll set it aside, and at the end of the Mythos phase, you'll actually put it on the board. So this will populate the board with a little bit more clues. The other thing you'll do is everybody will get a focus token. Now, I've made these myself. You can use whatever you want. You could use poker chips or whatever. The whole focus token thing comes from one of the expansions that I don't have. And it's just, you can take an action to get a token, and then later, if you roll a die and you don't like it, you can spend this to re-roll your die. So it's always a good thing to have. So I'm using this variant, the focus token variant, which is an official thing, but I don't have the expansion, so I just made these up myself. And then as for the lead investigator, give it to whoever you want, but just know that this will move around at the end of every round, right? So this, the lead investigator will change at the end of every round, but this does not necessarily mean that he will be the first to play. You can keep it that way as per the regular rules, but I don't like that. I find it too restrictive. So even though this will move, just for game purposes, right? Because the game will say sometimes the lead investigator takes damage because, well, okay, well, he's the lead investigator, fine, because he's got that token next to him. Next turn, she'll be the lead investigator, so if there's some crap related to this, well, she'll have the brunt of it. But it doesn't mean that she's the first to play. So keep that in mind. And this will also be useful because during the Mythos phase, things will happen according to my new rules, and it will target specifically the person with this token. But you always know that that's what's going to happen. You'll see. And that's about it for setup. Now, if you look at the bottom here, it says additional loss condition. Because the thing is, I've made the game relatively easier, okay? So you need the loss condition to change a little bit. And what it says here is, if half the investigators rounded up are defeated or devoured, the game is lost. Because I think usually in Eldritch Horror, you can, you know, everybody can die like, whatever, 9 times or whatever. As long as you don't all die at the same time, you can still keep playing. Like, you'll lose your character, you'll get a new one, and then we'll keep going. But with my thing, you got to keep tabs. So if we look here, half rounded up, right? So 1.5 rounded up 2. So if 2 of our people actually die, not at the same time, just throughout the game. Like, he dies, gets swapped out with somebody else, and then she dies, gets swapped out with somebody else. Well, that's 2 times. We just lost the game. So be careful. One more thing you're going to need is you're going to take 1 of each of these improvement tokens. Now, I've put mine in little capsules because I'm, you know, fancy. And you'll just set them aside because you will need these during the Mythos phase. So put them in a bowl, set them aside, and that's that. One more thing you'll need is you'll need a dice, a special dice, just one, that I just took a Sharpie and I drew this crappy symbol here. This is the symbol for the focus tokens, okay? Because what's going to happen is, if you have a test and it says roll 3 dice, you'll roll this one and 2 other dice. And then if you roll this symbol, you immediately collect a focus token into your pool. It still counts as a 1, but it also gives you a focus token. Now, you can't spend it right now. You can't spend the one that you just gained, so you'll put it on the side. You can spend another one if you have it or whatever. But yeah, so this is one more way to gain these focus tokens. One is with the take focus action, and the other is by rolling this die here. Now, this die is, you know, they say there you always have 1 die. There's the, you know, the 1 dice, 1 die you cannot lose or whatever. So even if your skill set is 0 or whatever, you would still roll 1 die. Well, roll this one because this one might, yeah, it didn't, but it might give you some focus. So there you go. So let's take a look at our characters and start playing. All right, so up here we've got Leo Anderson, an expedition leader. He's got 6 for sanity and 6 for health. I'm using dice because counters are fiddly and tiresome. And he comes into play, I believe, in Buenos Aires, so we'll look at that later. And he comes into play with a hired muscle here. It's an ally, gain 1 strength, and you may reroll 1 die when resolving a strength test. Good stuff. Next here we've got Mark Harrigan, a soldier, 4 for sanity and 8 for health. Comes into play with some kerosene. It's an item. You may discard this to gain +5 during a combat encounter, but discard it, so just once. And he's got a trusty revolver. That's my dog that you hear back there. Gain +2 during combat encounters. All right, classic stuff. He's already pretty strong, actually. And way at the bottom here we've got Jacqueline Pine. Pine or fine? Pine? It's a pine, I think. That P is very... Wow, you guys, I cannot see if that's a P or an F. So let's call her Jacqueline Fine, because she's a fine mama. And that's 8 and 4. And she comes into play with absolutely nothing. No, that's not true. She comes into play with some sort of spell. Yes, it's a flesh ward spell. And a clue. Look at that. Oh, I'm going to be making all kinds of mistakes. So a clue and a random flesh ward spell. Now, I've got one of the expansions in here. I believe it's called Forsaken Lore, Forbidden Lore, or something like that. Yeah, I bought it used, and it came with that. What am I looking for here? Flesh Ward? There we go, Flesh Ward. One of the random Flesh Ward spells. Shuffle that up. Okie dokie. So those are my characters. So let's look at the map. Now, I've tilted my characters on the side, and what I'm going to do is, this is so you guys can see them. Once they're done doing their thing, I'm going to prop him up like this. So he starts in Buenos Aires. She's at space number 5 up here. He's at space number 14. We had some spawns, some clue spawns random here with the two clue there. So number 7, number 10. The expedition happens to be on the pyramids. We have a gate in Rome with a ghost. And that's about it. And now we're playing against Azathoth. This is like the boring guy that when, you know, if you lose the game, it says flip the... If you lose the race against time, it says flip this card. And it just said, you lose the game. So, yeah, I didn't want to get into anything too complicated. I'm just here basically to show you how I play the game. So what does this guy do? He's got some cultists that are pretty easy to beat. So you do a sanity skill here. And after resolving the sanity test, lose 1 health and defeat this monster. So, pretty easy, but you do lose a health every time. And what does he do? When the Omen advances to the green space of the Omen track, okay, advance Doom by 1 for each Eldritch token on that space. Now, I guess something will put Eldritch tokens on that space. Ah, there we go. Setup. Place 1 Eldritch token on the green space of the Omen track. So I guess we'll be putting more of those, but it starts with at least 1. So I will put that thing way up in the corner here on the green space of the Omen track. Next, when 3 mysteries have been solved, you win the game. That's classic stuff. And when Azathoth awakens, flip this card. We just talked about that. Okay, so I've got his mysteries here. Now, the base game comes with 3, and if you've got Forbidden Lore, whatever, it adds 3 more. So you can shuffle them up and sort of mix and match and all that to give you variety. Now, I don't know what the 2 others are, but this is the first one. This is the first thing that we're trying to do. Occult research. The Shan are controlling innocent victims everywhere, using them to call forth Azathoth. So, what are we doing here? After an investigator resolves a research encounter, he may spend 1 clue he gained from that encounter and place that clue on this card. At the end of the Mythos phase, if there are clues on this card equal to number of investigators, solve this mystery. Now, number of investigators is 4, even though we are playing with only 3 investigators. So we're going to have to get 4 clues on this card, and those clues have to come from research encounters, and not just random things that give you random clues. So now I think it might be time to talk about the actions. Because while most of the actions will be pretty much, you know, you'll know what I'm talking about here if you've played Eldritch Horror, some have been tweaked. So let's put the card up on the thing and look at this together. So, actions. Investigators have 3 actions, not 2. Now, you might be familiar with this. On BGG, it's a very popular variant. I did sort of take that and tweak it to my liking because it worked, but anyway, I tweaked it. That's what I do. So, investigators have 3 actions, most of which can be taken 3 times. Below are modifications to basic rules with the little cross, and new actions with the little diamond thing. So, prepare. I've modified prepare. Usually when you prepared, like if you wanted a train ticket, you had to be on a city that was adjacent to a train route. If you wanted a boat ticket, you had to be adjacent to a city with a boat route. That's all gone, okay? As long as you're in the city, if you do prepare, then gain any type of token that you want, okay? Thank you very much. Next is the rest action. When you rest, you recover a total of 2 health and or sanity. Mix and match. So, 1 action, heal by 2. Another action, heal by 2. Another action, heal by 2. Pretty good. You could spend your whole turn doing 3 heal actions and heal up to 6. That's amazing. You're not doing much, but you're healing. Next is delayed, has been modified. Delayed used to be you waste your whole turn. Now it's going to be spend 2 actions out of your 3 to stand up instead of losing your whole turn. Okay. Acquire assets. So acquire assets now is you may spend 1 success to clear any or all assets in the reserve. So if you're trying to buy something and you got your successes right, but nothing strikes your fancy, you could say, I'm going to spend 1 success to wipe the whole thing and put out new cards, or 1 success to wipe 1 thing and put out a new card. And then, I mean, you did spend 1 success, so then you only have 2 successes to buy what you want to buy. This just helps because sometimes it sucks what's down here, so, you know, spend a success, wipe the thing. That's just, you know, better. You may also trash your assets, adding half their cost rounded down as successes. So basically, it's like you're selling something at half price to buy something else. Now, if you're selling something like this, well, 0.5 rounded down is 0. So this don't help. But you could go here and say, I'm going to use 2 successes and this rounded down for 1. So 3 successes to buy, let's say, the Enchanted Blade. You could do that. And then you would discard the Hired Muscle. So again, more of a sort of a town shop situation. Lastly here, we've got the travel action. Now, as with most actions, you can do this up to 3 times. What? Yes, I know. So let's say this is your guy here. If you're right here, you could do 1, 2, 3. You could do that, no worries. But if you read here, it says, to take the travel action more than once, you must keep moving along the same type of path as the one you started moving on. If you wish to switch onto another path midway, you must spend a ticket matching that new path, or this new path type. So what this means is, let's say you were here and you wanted to go 1, 2. Well, you'd have to go 1, spend this 2, and then, I don't know, maybe 3. Well, actually, no, because you have to spend tickets if you're continuing to move on a path that's not the same path that you started on. That was poorly worded, but here you go. If I wanted to actually do this, I would do 1, because I start on a ship path, pay this for 2, and then pay this for 3. You could do that, but you still need those tickets. If you started here and you wanted to go to the pyramids, you'd do 1, and then you're stuck. You cannot do 2, because this is a new type of path, and you don't have any tickets that match this type of path. So these places are still harder to get into. Now, you could be, yeah, I'm here. I'll go 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, you could just go by that way. Look at that. But this won't work everywhere for sure. If you're in here and you want to get out, well, you can do 1. And then if you want to switch to this, you still need to pay like this. Let's say 2. And then another one to do 3, right? So you still need those things. But you can definitely move quicker across the map than what you used to. All right, let's keep looking at the actions. Investigator sheet actions. A player may only take these actions a maximum of 2 times, because let's face it, a lot of these actions are pretty damn strong, and if you do them thrice in a row, I mean, that's potentially game breaking. So I've put a cap on it to 2 times. You could even put a cap on it to once if you really wanted to. Next is the focus action. I talked about that earlier. So as a focus action, you gain a focus token, like so. You may later spend these to reroll dice, 1 die per token, and your focus hand limit or character limit is 3. So you can have 3 of those at the same time. And then for the big change is, and I'm not inventing anything really here, it's the fact that there will be no encounter phase, but you can now take an encounter action. So you can take an encounter action combat, which means if there's a monster on your space and you're here, well then you can take an action to fight it. You can do this up to 3 times if you want to. So try it the first time, second time, third time, boom, you can kill it. If there's more than one monster, you can attack one once, attack that one again, and attack the other one another time. 3 times maximum. So you can encounter a monster in combat. You can also encounter a location. So if you're here, let's say, you can take the I'm going to encounter a location action. Now, you may not do, well, I say you may not do it 3 times. If we read here, first of all, you can only do it if there's no monster on your space. So if no monster on your space, draw an encounter card. If the encounter result is a pass, you may not take this action again this round. So if you fail it, sure, try it a second time with your second action. You fail it again, try it a third time with the third action. But if at any point you pass it, you cannot do this action again on any other space this round. And lastly is a token/research/mystery encounter action. This is basically because sometimes you'll get a mission that says, go on space 10 and something's gonna happen during the encounter phase, and then that'll trigger something. But now it's like, no, you want that to trigger? You'll go on space 10 and you'll take, out of your 3 actions, one of those will be an encounter the token/research/mystery thing that I'm trying to do. That's an actual action that you need to take. So there you go, those are the actions. And now after your actions, we will have a phase similar to the encounter phase, but I'm going to call it the curiosity phase. And that's probably the main difference from the stuff that you saw in BGG, because usually they just skip on right to the Mythos phase. And I liked that, but I didn't. Because one thing that I did enjoy about the original encounter phase was the fact that random stuff was being thrown at you. But I didn't like that it was every turn and all the time, whether I wanted to or not. So I sort of tried to have my cake and eat it too, and I did something that's sort of halfway, and we'll see about that when we get to that. So I think, for real, right now, let's just start playing the game. All right, so I'm going to start with my Leo Anderson here. Now, I don't have to start with him. He does have the lead investigator token, but that doesn't mean he's necessarily the first player. But I will go with him first, and I think I'll get him there because he's good when he's in the wilderness. So he's going to go 1, 2, and he can do that because that's the same type of track. So 1, 2. And then while he's on this space, his action is going to be to encounter this clue. And so, I mean, I guess I could draw a card, just a random wilderness card, but I mean, the whole point of this thing is to get these research encounters done. So let's do that. All right, so this says, we're in the wilderness. It says, you track a group of cultists that worship the green flame. Do an observation test. Now, my guy has an observation of 3, and he's got nothing to help him, really. So let's roll 3 dice. So 1, 2, 3. Now, he's got a focus token, and it says on his sheet, if you are on the wilderness space, investigators in your space roll 1 additional die when resolving a test. So 1 additional die. So let's do it. Let's go. Okay, that's a pass. So it says if you pass, you are able to watch their ritual. Gain this clue. Okay. So I think we can just add this clue right now to the occult research that we're doing. Because it does say here, after an investigator resolves a research encounter, which we just did, he may spend 1 clue he gained from that encounter and place the clue on this card. So let's do that. Okay, so that was his turn. All in all, not too bad. Now, I didn't mention this before, but it did say so on the card. Monsters do halt your movement. So even if I had a move of 3 or whatever, if I go in here, I stop because there's a monster. Now, I think I'm going to have him go over here because I want someone in the group to be good at influence. Like, everybody's got 2 influence right now, so maybe if he's got 3, he can buy some stuff, we can meet up, we can trade, you know, if that's ever a thing. All right, so he's going to do 1, 2, because he can do that, because that's the same type of track, and for 3, he will do the Istanbul. Try to improve his negotiation skills there. So we'll go to the Istanbul deck, and we find... Members of the Turkish parliament offer you help in exchange for clearing a group of cultists out of the Shuned Mosque. Improve handshake. Okay, so we just do. Okay, cool. Nice. So, yes, please. I'm going to put this on his character sheet. So he's now at 3. And then it says, inside, you interrupt a ritual and must resist the effect of its magical energies. Ah, there we go. That's a test. So, willpower test. And this guy has... Who's this guy? This is my handsome dude. He's got 4. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try that. It is a pass. Very nice. All right, so if you fail, lose 2 health as your skin writhes from across your body. Blech. All right, but we passed. So this is all good. And now my girl over here is going to have a boring turn. I think I'm going to move her here for 1. And then 2, 3, she's going to get some focus tokens. Because I still don't know what I want her to do. So let's just get her good at actual rerolls. Okay, so that's the end of our investigator phase. So now it's time for the curiosity phase. So I'll put it up on screen. So curiosity phase, all right, replaces the encounter phase. If any game effects, example conditions, refers to during the next encounter phase, blah blah happens, well, resolve it instead of the curiosity phase. This will happen 1% of the time. I think it's like these funky cards, like Lost in Time and Space or something. They'll say like during the next encounter phase, instead do this. Well, this is going to be that, right? Instead of doing your curiosity phase, you'll do what it says on the funky card. But like I said, it happens like none of the time. In the curiosity phase, what you do is you get yourself a d20. Oh man, a d20. Yeah, a d20. And then basically what this is going to do is you have a 1 in 5 chance of something happening to you. Sort of what the old encounter phase was about. Like the old encounter phase, like if you were here, this would happen. You would draw one of these cards. If there was a monster on your space, you had to encounter it. You had to. The game sort of forces you into that. I wanted to keep a little bit of that, but not have it happen all the goddamn time. So, curiosity phase, you grab your d20 and you roll. If you hit 1 to 16, nothing happens, and you go on to the Mythos phase. If you roll 17 to 20, you resolve accordingly. So if you read here, if you hit 17 to 20, on a space that does not contain a gate nor a monster, the investigator resolves a location card. So you see, even though, let's say you went here and you did activate this as an action in your action phase, well, if you're still here during the encounter phase and you roll 17 to 20, you might do it again. So sometimes that can actually help. Now it says also here, doing so does not enable picking up clues. So I don't know, if, let's say like here, if we were here and we did roll 17 to 20, we would have an encounter, like a random city encounter, but you can't pick up that clue. I mean, if the encounter says gain a random clue, then fine. But this one that was here, you're not picking that up. So doing so does not enable picking up clues, nor triggering mechanics referring to when having an encounter. Because remember, if anything says when having an encounter, that's something that you have to do as an action. You have to take an encounter action. Either encounter a space, encounter a token, encounter a monster, encounter something is an action. Next, on 17 to 20, if you are on a space with a monster, the investigator must fight it. And if there's more than one monster on the space, we'll choose which one to attack randomly. So it's sort of, yeah, you want it to end your turn there and there's a monster. Yeah, fine. But you might want to be ready to maybe fight it. It could happen. 1 out of 5 chance that you're going to fight it. So let's see what's going to happen for all of our good people here. So let's just put them like this so you guys can see what's going on. So we've got our girl here at Arkham. Let's roll a d20. 11, nothing happens. My dude here in the wilderness. 6, nothing happens. And my dude here in Istanbul. Oh, 17, there you go. So he's going to resolve an Istanbul card right away. Now this to me thematically is just, you're sort of driven. You're like curiosity killed the cat, right? You're just like, it's nighttime and you're just scratching at the, you know, at the bedpost and you're like, I gotta go look for trouble, man. I gotta go look for trouble. And that's, boom, 17 to 20. Yeah, you gave in to your basic urge to go look for trouble. So there we go. This is the card here. Istanbul. Professor Azap at the Topkapi Museum is not easily impressed. Only serious scholars can earn his respect. Test book. All right, well, book, or lore as they call it in France, he's got 2. So that's not super duper. So I'm just going to roll 2 dice, try to get a success. Yeah, oh, wow, look at this guy. Looks like he's knowledgeable after all. If you pass, he offers you any help the Institute can provide. Improve handshake. Well, yes, I will. So he was at 3. He's going to get up to 4. So there we go. Good stuff with the handshake. Okay, so next is the actual Mythos phase. So what happens during the Mythos phase? Well, very bluntly, very simply, you will draw a Mythos card. So there we go, Mythos card. What you're going to do is activate the icons one by one, like you usually would. You can read the flavor text if you want, and the whole bottom of the card is ignored. What? Why? You're missing out on all the theme. I'm not missing out on all the theme. These cards, you and me both know, these cards are extremely general, extremely random, and sometimes they don't even make sense with the monster that you're fighting. Yeah, but Steve, you can go on BGG and somebody has made a whole list of the cards that you use for per month. I understand what you're saying. It's a good, I get it. It's good. It's good. But I don't like these things. I don't like these cards. These cards smack you around most of the time for no good reason. And you're like, oh, cool. Thanks for punishing me for getting things. I've always hated that, so I got rid of that. Still, we do need those mechanisms to trigger, so you do them one by one. So let's do that now. All right, so first one here is move this track. So here we go, blue. Now, do we have any blue gates? We don't, we just have a red gate. That's all good. Reckoning. Now, reckoning in order is monsters, ancient ones, mythos, and possessions. Monsters, we have nothing that reckons really, like this guy does nothing special. Ancient ones, our ancient one does not have anything written here with the reckoning icon, so that's cool. Next would be mythos cards. Again, that's never going to happen because we're not reading this bottom part, so even if there's a reckoning icon, that's never going to trigger, so forget about that. And then it's investigator possessions. We have nothing in our possessions that have that icon, so that's done. Next is spawn a gate. So get a gate, spawn it. It's going to Shanghai way at the bottom here off screen. And put a monster on the thing because that's what that does. This is from Clank, basically. Because of course the game doesn't come with a bag. And we've got a witch. Oh, she's got a reckoning icon. All right. And how bad is she? Okay, not too tough to beat. If you fail the will test, gain a cursed condition. And trigger thing at the bottom here, each investigator who has a cursed condition loses a health. Okay, so she goes at Shanghai on the gate. So that's the end of that. So put that aside, you'll never see it again. And then, if you look at our handy dandy card here, it'll explain what to do during the Mythos phase. We did already the top part here, draw a Mythos card, resolve only the top icons. Note that the blue cards only spawn clues. They do not do rumors. Unless you want them to, you could play it that way, but I don't. I find rumors to be an annoyance, and I'm not doing that. Next, the lead investigator. So the one who's got the token on this thing. Right now, this is Leo Anderson. The lead investigator will draw a random skill token to determine which skill to test. Okay, so get this. Let's go. Check it, randomly. Oh, there we go, something. Okay, well, this is pretty good. Let's get something worse for him, I guess. Oh, no, this is actually okay. He's not, I thought he was good at influence. He's not. Now, this has two sides, a 1 and a 2. Forget the numbers. This is just to say influence. Leo Anderson will do an influence test. This is his mythos. It's his mythos, not everybody else's, just his. So what is he trying to do? Well, okay, as we said, he's going to be using influence, right? So 2 dice. He is on a wilderness space, so he would use an additional die. So let's look at how and what he's trying to do. So it says here, they will then roll dice a la Fang, Fortune and Glory. Fortune and Glory is a kooky game from Flying Frog Productions, and they have this cool little system that, let's say you roll your dice and you have at least 1 success, you can count that success and then pick up the dice and keep going. And as long as you roll 1 success, they're going to pile up, okay? Because right now what we're trying to do is, if you look at the chart here, all depending on how far along you are in the game, you're trying to get a different number of successes. So right now, the track up here is at 15. So if we look at our chart, it says if you're between 15 and 13, you're trying to get 5 successes, or else you'll lose 2 health and or sanity. Now, it says or else with a little asterisk, because you might lose exactly that, or a little bit more, or maybe get a condition. We'll see, okay? But essentially, you're trying to get that many successes. So he's trying to get 5 successes out of those 3 dice. Now, here's the thing. You might say, yeah, I don't care, I'll lose the health. And of course, at this stage, I don't care. But the further along you get in the game and you get weaker and blah, 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 you know that at the Mythos phase, if you're the lead investigator, you will get targeted by one of these tests. So knowing that, and knowing how much health you might lose, health and sanity you might lose, well then you might be more incentivized to maybe take an action to get 1 more of these, right? Or an action to heal, because you know at the end of your turn you'll get the, you know, the pointy end of the stick from the Mythos phase. That's what I like about this thing, is you know you'll be targeted if you're the lead investigator, and you know approximately what you're going to be getting smacked around with, right? In this case, 2 health and or sanity, maybe 1 more, maybe a condition. So right now, I'm trying to get, that's a whole bunch of successes. I'm probably not going to have them, so 5 or less. But let's keep going. So if we just confirm with the rules here, all abilities and effects related to dice and tests still apply, as with Leo's thing that says if he's in the jungle, blah, 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 with the exception of the focus symbol on the 1 die. Now, it acts as a 1 and it does not provide a focus token. You can still use focus tokens to re-roll dice, but this will not give you focus during this particular test during the Mythos phase. So let's do it. Let's try and get some successes. All right, he's got 1, and we do have at least 1, so we can keep going. So that's 1 success. 2, 3, 4. Damn, that's pretty good. We're trying to get 5. And 5. I mean, damn, we have it. I'm pretty surprised. Now, if we look at the card again here, it says at the bottom, success or fail, you're going to roll a d20 again. Now, the thing is, if you succeeded, you roll the d20 again, and on 17 to 20, you can get something cool. Whereas the opposite here, at the bottom, if you did fail, well then you'll roll a d20. On 1 to 16, you will lose the specified health and sanity. In our case, it was 2. But if you failed and you roll your d20 and you hit 17 to 20, well then, you might, on a 17, lose the specified health and sanity plus 1. So not 2, 3. If you hit 18, you'll gain a random injury condition instead. On a 19, you'll gain a random madness condition instead. And on 20, you'll gain a random lost in time and space condition. So there you go. And once this is all done, Mythos Phase ends, you pass the lead investigator token to the next player, and you keep playing. So let's roll. We had a success. So on 17 to 20, we can get something funky. We might not. We probably won't because it's on a one chance on 5, basically. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so nothing good, but nothing bad. Hey everybody, Mountain Gamer here, talking to you live from the future. I'm just going to put this up quick. I have since revised the Mythos Phase chart to make it a little bit more punishing, because I admit it was getting a little bit too easy. But again, take which one you want. I'll put both in the files, and I'll put the Photoshop file so you can, you know, fiddle around with it and tweak it to your liking. So with that, let's go back to the game. So that was the Mythos Phase. Forever, that's going to be the Mythos Phase. Now this goes down here, boom, and we can play a new round. All right, I think the first thing, or one thing we should be doing, is looking at these red gates over here, because this is going to move into the red next turn. And if it does, this is going to move up by 2. Now again, this is it's pretty far off, right? We maybe don't have to stress out with that, but I'm going to try it here just because, at least maybe close 1, right? He's right next door, and he's got a special ability that's, you know, he's good at kicking monster butt. So I think what he's going to do is his first action, he's going to get a focus token. So he's got 2 right now. 1, 2, 3. No, that's no good. No, see, that's no good. I only have 3 actions. Because I wanted to go there, fight the monster, and close the gate. Because you cannot close a gate if there's a monster on your space. Yeah, so let's forget about this plan, and let's just send him here. So 1, 2, he's going to encounter that ghost. That ghost right next to his sheet here. All right, so this ghost here has, well, first of all, we've got to do a skill test of 2 here on the old will. All right, now before I actually take the action to engage this guy, I just realized you can't fight this guy. Like, you can't use combat or anything. You have to do your will test, -1, and then whatever your result, you got to pass it, and whatever your results are, you deal will damage to his health, basically. So if you don't get at least 2 successes, you've wasted your action, your encounter action. So it's kind of a bummer, but I think what I'm going to do is, my actual second action, instead of attacking him, will be action. You and 1 monster on your space each lose 1 health. So that'll bring me down to 7. It'll bring him down to 1. So at least now, with my third action, which will be to, you know, kick this guy in the nuts, now I only need 1 success, basically, if I understand it correctly. All right, let's do it. So 4 minus 1 is 3. I got my 3 dice. Not a goddamn 1. Oh, you're kidding me. Okay, I'm going to spend this. There we go. And, oh boy. Okay, let's try this one. Oh, for mother... Oh, I hate this game so much. All right. Well, that's a fail, kids. That is just a regular fail. Ugh. Okay, well, that was his 3 actions. Yeah, he moved, he did this thing, and then he fought the guy. Okay, well, let's put this guy back on the board. He's got 1 health. What I actually should have done is, as my third action, do this again instead of rolling dice. But I was sort of confident that I was going to have it. So there you go. All right, I'm going to tilt these guys like this instead of upwards because we can't see a damn thing. So this means they've played, and like this, it means they didn't play yet. So I think what I'm going to do is, let's have this guy go here and finish the job because he was such a, a dumbass. Yeah, I guess so, huh? All right, so he's going to go 1 and then try to fight this guy. So my guy here's got a willpower of 3. That's even worse than the other guy. So he's going to roll 2 dice because he takes away 1. And he's trying to get... I have to get 2. Is that even doable? I mean, it is, but... Ugh, is that dumb? Is that dumb? I don't know. Let's do it. Well, he gets 1 success, but he didn't pass it. He still has to pass. So essentially, he has to roll a success. All right, let's do it. Oh my god! Okay, I'm gonna spend this. I hate doing this. Oh yeah, baby! Yes. Okay, cool. All right, so this thing is dead. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. All right, it's dead. It's gonna go back. And then I'm going to try to close the gate. So it's a red gate in Rome. So, but now I've got no focus tokens. That's so horrible. All right, whatever. Let's just try it. All right, the future. So it says here, you stand in Times Square, New York. Really? We're in Rome. I love this game. You stand in Times Square, New York, but not as you know it. The streets are empty, and the buildings have crumbled to dust. It appears that you will fail to save the world. And you try desperately not to fall into despair. Will -1. Of course it's will -1. All right, let's do it. So we got 2 dice. Yes! All right, let's keep going here. So it says, you get to your feet and find what is left of the central library. The books you find there prove useful. Close this gate. Oh, wow, that was easy. Okay, so close this gate. So we'll remove it from the board. Then it says, deep in the basement of the library, you dig through the archives, searching for clues about the downfall of man. Test your eyeball. Okay, test your eyeball. That's going to be 3. Here we go. Wow, look at that. Okay, if you pass, gain 2 clues. All right. Well, those are 2 random clues, so we can use them for re-rolls or what have you. All right, there you go. So close this gate. Well, that was a 2-man job for sure. All right, so he's done. And now as far as my Jacqueline Fine over here, she's going to go try to do that thing over here. So she'll do 1, 2, and then try to work on that clue here. So that's a city encounter, and it's an actual research encounter. So let's draw from the appropriate deck. And we find city. Scientists report that their sample of radium was stolen. Your investigation indicates a connection to worshippers of Azathoth. Test your eyeball. She's got an eyeball of 3 down here, which ain't too bad. And she's got 3 of these tokens here that I gave her last time. So let's go. Usually I don't count these when they're outside the box. So I'm going to be super fair right now and redo it. Yes. All right, so we passed that. If you pass, you discover signs of cult activity. Gain this clue. All right, gain this clue, and we'll put it on the occult research thing that we're trying to do. So that's our 2nd token up there, and we need equal to investigators, which is us +1. So 4. We need 4. We have 2. Okay, very good. So we're done. Now it would be the curiosity phase. So let's roll a d20 for everybody on the board. So her... Oh, actually, 17 to 20. So something will happen to her. And let's roll for these 2 guys. So let's go with my Leo Anderson first. Nothing. And then my soldier guy, Mark. No, nothing. 17 to 20 only. This is 16. So something will happen to her. And she's on a no-name city space. So we'll just go get one of those. And we find a night watchman tells you that a crate of weapons has gone missing from his warehouse. You offer him some money to learn more. Test your influence. She's got 2, which isn't the best. But let's try it. Let's try it. All right, let's go. Let's talk to this guy to try to learn more. Ooh, that's not going to happen. We could spend some focus, but is it worth it? If you pass, he sends you to an alley. Gain 1 random weapon asset from the deck. Actually, so you know what? I'm going to spend a focus here. Flip that, and let's re-roll 1 die. All we need is 1 success. Now I'm using this one because if ever it falls on this, I did spend 1, but I'm going to regain 1 for next turn. So that's why I'm doing that. So let's try to do this. Oh my god. Okay, cool. So we get a random weapon. Yay! So let's just go through there. Let's flip it over and let's get the first weapon we find. Service, item, ally, item weapon. There you go. A bull whip, like Indiana Jones. Gain +1 strength during combat encounters. You may re-roll 1 die when resolving a strength test during a combat encounter. Okay. She's not going to be very strong in combat, but still, she's got this. She can give it to someone eventually. So there we go. So that's the end of the encounter phase. Let's move on to Mythos. All right, so drawing a Mythos card, and we get a yellow one. It's going to move the track, do some resolving things, and spawn a gate. Okay, so first off, move the track. Boom, it's red. We do have 1 red gate, so that means this will move by 1. Next, this icon over here, we said it was monsters, ancient ones, mythos, and possessions. Monsters, we do have a monster that has that icon, and that's the Witch. So the Witch here says, each investigator who has a cursed condition loses 1 health. Okay, but we don't, so that's okay. Ancient One has nothing. Mythos, that's not going to happen. And possessions, we don't have any possessions with that icon, so let's move on. Spawn a gate, so let's do it. We've got Istanbul. Okay, and when we spawn a gate, we add a monster. So let's do that. And it is a skeleton. They do nothing much. There we go. All right, there we go, skeleton. So we can discard this bad boy. And next, the person who will be targeted by the Mythos event will be Mark Harrigan. And we know this because he's got this next to him. So what's he trying to do? He's trying to roll and get some successes, but we need to know in which skill. Let's grab this and let's go random. Random. It's going to be this thing. Strength. That's very good for him. He's got 4 strength. Okay, so he should be getting 4 strength. And the track now is at 14. If we look at the thing, it says between 15 and 13, he's trying to get 5 successes. Okay, just like last time. So we're trying to get 5 successes. Let's try it. Let's do it. He's got no successes and no chances to re-roll. It's not a combat encounter. It's not a combat encounter. Nope. So he's screwed. Yeah, he cannot do it. So he will lose possibly 2 health and or sanity. But we've got to roll a d20 because win or lose, you roll the d20. So let's do it. Roll a d20. It's a 4, so a d20 fail on 1 to 16, lose specified health and sanity. So 2, any way we want. Could have been worse. Could have been +1, could have been an injury instead, or a mandus, or whatever. If you want to make this harder, you can say lose the health and sanity and an injury, or and a madness, you know. I put instead, but you can pimp it up and just make it a little bit worse if you really want, you know, if you're a sucker for punishment. So he's going to lose 2. I mean, I'm not going to go here. That's just way too low, right? I think I'll bring him down to 5, maybe 5-3, maybe 6-3, yeah. So let's lose 1 here and 1 here. Because I do like his ability of dropping this down to sort of damage monsters. So we're going to do it that way. Okay, and that's the end of the Mythos phase. So the lead investigator will become Jacqueline Fine. So she will be targeted when it comes to the next Mythos phase. So there you go. Let's move on to the next round. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the like button down below. Now, I know it seems like a very small thing to do, but it actually does help the channel when you do that. And if ever you should find yourself in a super generous mood, well, I do accept donations via PayPal. And anything you give, big or small, will help keep me going.